Hi. So if you ever had one of those weeks where you feel like you're playing that game whack-a-mole, like one thing you get fixed and then something else pops up and then you fix another thing and then something else pops up. Anyhow, that's been my week working in Canvas on some stuff. And so I tried to solve a problem. Somebody brought up that there was an issue and I realized something had gotten deleted that I didn't expect to be deleted. And so I thought, I know, I'll just restore it from the master class. No big deal. It's in Canvas Commons. There's a button right there that says import. I found the right page. I clicked the import button. My page returned. It was great. Like I checked all the links, everything looked good. What I didn't realize, it imported the entire course. Now, total user error on my part. But what that did was set into play a comedy of errors or an error of comedies. I don't know, whatever it was. Every time I thought I fixed something, I'd get some message from somebody on Discord that said, hey, why is it this way? Or why is it that way? Or did you know? Like literally every time I finished, I got a new message. Duplicated all the assignments. So people were panicking about grades. Like, why aren't there all the grades there? Because there was double the assignments all of a sudden. Duplicated, what else did it duplicate? Anyhow, duplicated everything pretty much. Duplicated all the modules and showed a bunch of the modules as not completed, stuff you'd already done. Anyhow, all kinds of stuff. I think the reason I share that with you is for two reasons. One, when weird stuff happens in your class, technical stuff, because it will, like it just will, okay? I just lucked out that it happened all on the same day. That I was trying to get module 7 out to you, and then all this stuff started popping up. So I had to fix all that before I could do anything else. Anyhow, when that happens, as much as possible, be transparent with your students and just let them know I'm having technical problems. This is another reason why I really like Discord actually, because it provides a back channel communication that's outside of the LMS. Like if Canvas goes down, because it does sometimes, not just because I screwed it up, but sometimes it actually goes down. You have a back channel already established to communicate with your students. It gives them a channel to communicate with you, like, hey, there's some things going on, because they'll catch stuff that you don't catch. You know that, right? And so, anyhow, so I always like back channels. But also, in your act of transparency, hopefully you're building trust. You can say, okay, thank you for letting me know about that. Let me go take care of that. And that builds trust in your class and makes for a good learning environment. So hopefully I've done that. Hopefully I've taken care of all the things that need to get whacked. Hopefully nothing else will come up because I think everything's open at this point. But please, if it does, let me know. So what I want to do is share with you a couple of things. I'm going to show you module 7. But before I do that, I want to give you the big picture of this assignment that's due. Okay, and then we'll go into some specifics. I'm going to kind of work backwards, and then anyhow, you'll see what I'm going to do here in a second. So in module 6, it said create a video, like a welcome video, and I've seen some of yours are looking really good so far, the ones I've seen, and create a homepage. And the homepage just has some of your basic information. So module 6 kind of had some things to check off for that. In module 7, it says create an introductory module. So a module, let me do a screen share with you. And for some of you who don't understand what a module is. So in a module, I'll just pull this up so you can see. Let me scroll down here to module. I'll just go to module. Yeah, I'll go to module 6 because it's short. It'll fit here. So a module is a set of resources. They can be pages, they can be assignments, they can be just all kinds of, whatever you can create in Canvas, you can group it together in a module. Now, the trick is in a module is that you have to create the individual things first. Like you have to create the assignment, you have to create the rubric, you have to create the page, the file, whatever it is. You have to create that first independently. But then when you come to your modules, you connect it all together, okay? And so actually, so up here at the top, it'll say add a module. So let's assume they're all added. Let me collapse all these other ones. And so in your modules, you've created one. Then you click the plus, and then you go find, like, you're looking for an assignment, for a quiz, for a file, like, what are you looking for? You find your thing, and then I don't have, well, I'll click this, and then you can add it. Now I'm not going to add this because I don't actually want this in the module. Anyhow, so that's kind of the order of things. You create a module, and so you're going to create an introduction module. If you're using Canvas. If you're using Google Classroom, there's another process for that. You know it, and at this point, if you're using a Google Doc to kind of create things, that's fine also, as long as you put them in an orderly way and use the headings. But anyhow, so in Canvas, you would just create, you just click the plus sign, and you can reorganize these things in different ways. You can turn some of them on and some of them off, like publish them or not publish them. But that's all a module is it's a group. Now, the reason that I tell you that is because some people are panicking and they're like, oh no, do I need to, like quite a few people, do I need to recreate the homepage? Well, no, you just did that, okay? You just created the homepage. So you don't need to create the homepage all over again. You're going to use the homepage and the welcome video that you already did to put together the module for the introduction. Now, what goes in an introduction? Well, let's take a look at that. Let me do another screen share. Because the introduction module, and if you go back to the one for this class, you can review that and kind of see what's in it. An introduction module is not really like a ton of lessons or units or content. This is the stuff that the student needs to get started in the class. And a lot of this stuff might be covered in your syllabus already, but it doesn't hurt to call it out. And so in this section, or in this module 7, it's going to go through all kinds of different design options, things that you can do to help you understand better how to put something together. And so let me just click on one. I'll click on discussions. At the bottom of just about every one of these pages, it gives you a lot of information, but then it says orientation module. And it says, okay, so try to create this thing. Here's a thing based on this topic we're talking about on this page that you could put. So if I go to the next page, you'll see something similar, assessments, which would be like a quiz or something. So this is what you can put. All right, so kind of read through this, and what they're doing is giving you ideas. You know what your students need, and you know what kind of information. Here again, orientation module, create a quiz if you want to. I have a syllabus quiz that I put in our orientation module in this class. You had a syllabus quiz. There's lots of different things you can do. Gradebook tools. Let me scoot down to the end. Let me get to the assignment. Learning mastery. So on the assignment itself, and hold tight because we're going to talk about submission and we're going to talk about peer review. We'll get there. But on the assignment itself, okay, complete an introduction module. Now I would do this for a class you're going to teach. Like if you're teaching in the spring, by all means, use that class. If you're not teaching in the spring, maybe use a class you're developing or a class you've taught in the past. But use something real, okay? And if you look down here, there's a lot of resources, but if you look down here, here's the checklist. Here's what you need to put in the orientation module, and you need to make it clear so that I can go through and check things off. So in the module, you should have a clear start and essential course components. So, your syllabus, your calendar, your contact information, okay? If you go back to the homepage for this class, which is part of the introduction module, you'll see all of that. The structure of the course. Are you going to be in Zoom, every Tuesday and Thursday? Are things going to be due on Sunday? Like, what is the structure? What can students expect? What's the minimum equipment and technology requirements and computer skills they're going to need to be successful in your class? What communication expectations clearly stated? So, are you going to respond to emails within 24 hours? Are you going to respond 5 days a week, but not as often on weekends? Are you expecting them to send you a message in Discord? Do you want them to use the Canvas inbox? Like, how should they communicate? Do they need to use a subject line? That's the one I would super highly recommend so that you can filter your messages. Anyhow, what communication expectations are there? This is a good place to address academic integrity. That's a huge issue in my classes. I want to make sure that they know what my expectations are there. And so I have a unit in my class about academic integrity. And some of these, like I said, might be addressed in the syllabus, but in your module, this is a place where you could call it out. So like there's a video that I show on academic integrity that's really good. It's kind of cheesy. It was done by a group of college students at some other college. I don't actually even know where the college is. And it goes through like 9 or 10 things about plagiarism that students don't even know. Okay, that they might not even recognize as plagiarism. So you could build out a page that says, here's what the college policy is. Here's what I expect. And here's some examples. Anyhow, self-introduction from the instructor. So that's your welcome video, right? Here I am. Here's what we're doing in the class. Prerequisite knowledge clearly stated if applicable. Now, if it's like an entry-level class, you might not have any prerequisite knowledge. But if it's like let's say it's a 102 class and they have to take a 101 first, you should clearly state that. And then some place for everybody to introduce themselves, whether that's a discussion forum or however you want to set that up, and in whatever way you want to set them up. So in our orientation module, I had you guys create an introduction video. You're welcome to steal that assignment and modify it. It's in a Google Doc, so you could copy it into your own Google Drive and modify it as needed if you want to. And I had you post it in Discord because we didn't really have, Canvas wasn't like fully open yet. And I wanted to get you guys started. Anyhow, these are all the pieces that make up or can make up your introduction module. Now, let me go into student view here because I don't, oh no, it does show you the rubric and teacher view. Anyhow, just go down the rubric, embedded self-introduction video, do you have clear and working start, like where do they begin, essential course components, all, contact information. Just go down this if you're not sure what to add. So I'm going to stop screen sharing for a second because here's my suggestion to you, and here's the mistake a lot of people make. So I used to teach web design. I taught web design at Porterville College for a long time, and the biggest mistake that my students made was they jump on the computer and start designing a page. Well, that sounds like what you're supposed to do, right? Your web design. The problem is they didn't know what was going where. So here's my number one suggestion to you for this assignment. Pull out a sheet of paper, take each of those sections, or you can use digital if you want, but I like to just write stuff out. I have so much stuff written out. This is my class schedule for my winter intersession class that I have to put into something digital here soon. Okay, I like to just write stuff out. But anyhow, for each of those sections, list out what do you want them to know? What is there a video you want to show them? Is there a resource you need to share? Like kind of just plan it out on paper, whether it's digital paper or real paper, before you start to put it together in your course management system, okay, in your learning management system. It'll be so much easier if you do it that way because you'll be able to think through what's a logical path that I want my students to take. Otherwise, I don't know. The vision that just came into my head was like being at a trailhead where there's multiple trails that go in different directions. Like we live right off the Pacific Crest Trail. Well, not right off, but we're pretty close. We've been up there a bunch of times, up by Wrightwood and up that direction. And there are a couple of places where there's a fork in the road. Thank you, Robert Frost. Which way am I going to go? Okay. So your students are going to open your class. What are they going to see first? And what path do you want them to take? Okay, you don't want them to get lost and just wander around. Like, where do they go? So that's what you need to think through in this introduction module. And this could be something you, or should be something you actually use for your real class. Okay, and if you want to test it out on somebody, like have somebody look at it and say, hey, what do you think about this? I mean, I'm going to look at it and I'll try to give you some good feedback. But always try to put yourself in the student's position. You're not recreating a bunch of new stuff. Like you're going to take that video and you're going to take that homepage you did and let that be the starting point. But then go back to the assignment, go back to that list, that orientation module checklist, and you're not limited to that. Like those aren't the only things. Let me go back to that. Those aren't the only things you can include. And you don't necessarily have to include all of them, you know, because there's a pretty open section here, the essential course components. That's fairly flexible, right? But it says, you know, you have to include 2 to 4 working essential course components. You get to decide what those are, all right, for your class. Different classes will have different things. If you're teaching, I don't know, the industrial technology class, you're going to have some safety stuff there. You're going to have some information because I think that's some of the classes that have hands-on stuff. Same with nursing, right? If you're teaching a fully online English class, you're not going to worry about lab information. Like they don't need to know that. And so just tailor it for your own class, okay? So let me jump back. Let me jump back to, well, let me go back here to the beginning. What I'm going to do, oh yeah, one of the things that showed up when, but it's a good thing, when I duplicated everything is now I have announcements that show up at the top. So somehow I turned that on. Oh my goodness, so many things happened. This is why I have the picture of the ocean behind me. I needed a little bit of zen after yesterday. It was great. And some of you guys probably need that too after putting up with what I did. Okay, so let me go back to Learning Management Systems, Module 7. And like I said, you'll notice, you know, module content, all this stuff down here. And then there's 3 final feedback sorts of things. So reflection 3, I already have that open, so I'm going to jump over here. Reflection 3 is going to have you look at some best practices. And the dates are already on the calendar. So you can already go sign up for the synchronous component on this. The dates are down here too. I've got all the dates on here on the options. Here's the one thing to pay attention to. If you're doing the 5-minute video or the reflection, the written reflection, those are due January 10th. You just got to get those done, okay? Because I'm going to have a lot to grade already, and I need those done so I have that week to grade them. However, if you're in the synchronous session, I'm going to ask you to do your brief takeaway, just like we've been doing on those. And the latest you can do those is Friday the 13th. I think that's what I have on here. Oh, I have on here the 15th. I goofed. That should actually be the 13th. That'll be the same. Nope, never mind. Oh my goodness. That I goofed here. It is the 15th. Friday is the 15th. Maybe because of all the tech problems, it showed up as Friday the 13th. But I'll go fix that when we're done here. It's Friday the 15th. Anyhow, because you can't do that part until you've attended the session, right? So make sure you attend the session and then do that part. I've got 6 time slots set up. There's one on Thursday. I'm starting winter intersession next week, and I actually will have Zoom in the morning. So that'll be a Zoom day for me. But it'll be a lot of fun. All right, so that's your reflection for reflection 3. One of the other things it's asking you is this checking out survey. Whoops, I think I have opened the wrong thing twice. Checking out survey. So let me go here. And this survey is going to ask you to do a final reflection on, there's only like 4 questions or 5 questions, okay? So you click this form. Don't do this till the end of the week. Like you can't check out right now, okay? Well, you could check out right now, but you wouldn't finish the class. Anyhow, don't check out until the end of the week or even next week, you know, whenever the due date is. And so it's going to ask you 4 things. The first thing is, what did you find? What is the most interesting idea you came across? So I'm looking for impact. Like what is the pedagogically or anything else? Like what one idea made the biggest impact on you? Okay. And then what was the most useful skill that you picked up? I'm just asking you for one thing. You could write more than one thing, but only keep it to like maybe 2, at 3 at the most. I don't want a lot here. I'd rather have you focus in on the one thing you're going to remember. And I'll tell you why in just a minute. This next part, moving forward. And so like as teachers, we know that when you teach something, it's your highest relationship to the content because you like really have to know it. It deepens your learning when you have to teach it. So what I'm curious about on this question is choose something you learned about in the class that you can share with somebody else. Like how will you share this? Will it be with other people in your department? Will it be, you know, maybe it's something you found that you could share with a student. I don't know. You decide, like, how are you going to share it? And then this last one is advice. So when someone else takes this class, What words of advice or encouragement or wisdom do you have for future participants of this course? Okay. Or maybe to future or current online educators. So you've come a long way. What would you tell them? Like, what's your biggest aha moment, maybe, or encouragement? And then there's one additional field, it's open mic. So you can use that one to fill in anything you want, any final comments, or tell me goodbye, or whatever. Okay, so that's pretty open. So there's that form. And then the last of those links is this 5E group project. And in reflection 2, I showed you guys the one that I use for my tech project class. And so in this one, this gives you a chance. I modified it for our class, for our projects. And so you'll go in, it'll be the same kind of questions. I'm going to ask you to look at your participation. I'm going to ask you to report out the group demographics, how often you met together in Zoom, or, if you all used was Discord, it'll say, did you use asynchronous or synchronous, or anything else. And then I'm going to ask you to review all the group members in your group. And so you'll see a list of all the people in the class. It's a really big list. Just pick the people you worked with in your group, okay? Don't review people from another group, because that doesn't even make sense. So let me stop sharing for a minute. So it sounds like a lot, okay? So let me backtrack, and I still haven't forgotten, we're going to talk about submission. In Module 6, you're creating the video. Some of you have submitted that. You're creating a home page. And then in Module 7, you're using those two as the starting point for the introductory module that you're going to create for your class that's going to hit some of those guidelines. And as you go through each of the pages in Module 7, at the bottom, there's a, hey, you could include, here's some ideas. Okay, so make note of that. Draw it out on paper. It'll be like way better if you do that than if you just start trying to pile stuff in. So let's turn our attention to something else. One of the technical difficulties that I was trying to solve was where you could create this and submit it so that everybody could see it on the peer review for the homepage and the video. Well, the video is not a big deal. That one's easier, right? YouTube or Canvas, Zoom Confer or whatever. There's places you can put that. But on the homepage, that's a little trickier. And people are having some problems with that because Canvas isn't really open. And so here's one solution. Some people in Canvas are uploading it to Canvas Commons, making sure it's published, and then sharing that link. The key is whatever you do, you have to make sure it's published, or that it's shared as unlisted, or so that anyone with a link can view. Because if we can't see it, we can't review it, right? Anyhow, so that's one option if you're in Canvas. If you're in Google Classroom, it's a little easier because you can set up your own Google Classroom, and there's a video there that shows how to there's a code when you create your own class. And if you give us that code, whoever is reviewing your page can just put that in and join your class, okay, if they have the code. That's a little bit easier. If you create a Google Doc, that's easy enough to share. I think on having the whole module is going to be trickier. So on both of those things, an alternate solution is, if you can't figure out how to make a link public, is just do a screencast. Jump into Zoom, do what I'm doing here, and just walk us through it and say, here's all the pieces, here's all the parts, here's why I did this. Give us a tour, okay? And then upload the video and share the link to the video. I'd almost, especially on the module, on the intro module, I prefer you do that, because they'll keep me from having to jump around and load a bunch of stuff. And, what if you forgot to publish it and then I have to track you down and all of that. If you just do a screencast, Screencast-O-Matic, Confer, Zoom, whatever tools you prefer, okay, and make a video, problem solved. As long as I can see everything and it's clear and you're explaining it, super easy. Preferably not more than like 5 minutes. Make it a short video. Anyhow, so that's my preference, okay? So let's see, we went over what was in the module. We went over the feedbacks, 3 feedback instruments that are at the end. We went over how the video and the homepage tie into the lesson this week or the project this week with the introduction module. And we went over some submission ideas. Okay, I kind of wish Canvas was a little more open than it is, but it's not that I can figure out. And so anyhow, we'll go with what we have. The big lesson here is don't let the tech get the best of you. Okay, take a deep breath. It'll be okay. Try some things. Put out a few calls for help. Use the help desk if needed. Okay, and I'll be around. I will tell you that this week I'm starting my winter intercession class on Monday. And so it's going to be a little bit busy for me this week, but I'm committed to making sure I update all of the assignments that have come in. Like I did a big grade update last week, graded a whole ton of stuff, but then a bunch of stuff's come in since that because I was wrestling with Canvas, I like lost out. Friday was my day to grade everything. And then I ended up playing whack-a-mole with Canvas all day. It happens, okay? So don't take that personally. Like, don't take tech problems personally. It's hard because it's frustrating, but don't look at yourself and say, because a lot of people do this, I'm just too dumb to figure this out. No, you're all really smart. You all are experts in your field. You all work with students. You solve problems. You're experts at decision, what do I call it? Decision management, like when you're in front of a bunch of students. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like you've got conversations going and you're having to like juggle a whole bunch of things and you're all really good at that. You just don't know this yet. Keep that in mind, but you can, and I'll help you. So that's how I approach technology and step away from it. Like today we went for a drive up to Lytle Creek. Never been there before, but it was nice to get away from the screen. So that's my my teaching tip for you today. Don't get frustrated. And if you do step away from the screen, go do something else and then come back to it with fresh eyes and then ask the questions. So I'm really excited about what we're doing this week. And I'm really excited to see some of the videos that are coming in. So the rest of them I'm sure are going to be great. All right, have a good week and we'll touch base soon.